Welcome back to Stuttering Sports. Today is February 28th, 2021. And the topic for today is the New England Patriots and where do they go following the 7-9 season where, they lost their identity being the dynasty for 20 years. They had a very disappointing end to the year as the Bills and Dolphins, two very young teams, look to be taking over the division. How does Bill Belichick respond, being the greatest coach of all time? How does he respond to that? How does he respond to Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl? This is the offseason to respond. So without further ado, let's start off by talking about the quarterback position and the many different avenues they can go there. I definitely think the least likely scenario is the Patriots drafting a QB. For the pure reason that why would Bill Belichick, now in the later years of his career, go for a guy like Trey Lance or Mack Jones when they finally get really good? Well, that's when Bill Belichick's probably going to retire. And now just to talk about the QB prospects for a second, I personally think Trey Lance would be a good pick for the Patriots. I don't see it happening for that exact reason. Why would Bill take a rookie QB when I'm sure he wants to win right now? I do think Trey Lance would honestly be a good pick, though, if Bill weren't there. Obviously, he is, though. He's the greatest coach of all time. But I do like Trey Lance's mobility. He had a rough game, that 2020 game that they played. He played rough. He tried to do too much. But when you look at his 2019 tape, he honestly looks really good. So I think he would be a good pick and a great guy to mold for a guy like Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels. Moving on to Mack Jones. I'm personally not a big Mack Jones guy myself. Not to say he's bad or anything, but picking him with the 15th pick, first of all, would be a major reach. And second of all, I get the Saban-Belichick connection. Like, oh my God, well, they're good friends. That means Mack Jones is definitely going to the Patriots. No, that's such a stupid idea to me, that Saban and Belichick, they're friends, Saban can vouch for Jones. It's like, all right, who gives a shit, I just don't see it happening. I don't see Jones or Lance putting on a Patriots uniform next season. I definitely think Bill wants a veteran QB to try to compete with the Bills and Dolphins and win the division and make the playoffs. So, let's talk about those veteran QBs that are on the trading block. The first two, I kind of just want to get these right out of the way, are Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. As it would be incredibly fun to watch Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson playing with Bill Belichick. That would be awesome. They would be great. Seattle and Houston aren't just going to give some of the best quarterbacks to Bill Belichick. That's not really how it works. See, let's just say you have a great quarterback, and let's just say he wants out. Exactly what's happening with Deshaun Watson right now. He wants out. He wants nothing to do with the Texans. He is basically as good as gone. Out of all the teams to trade him to, why would you trade him to the team with the greatest coach of all time? You don't want to do that because, let's just say the Texans get really good, then you have to play Belichick or McDaniels and Watson for 15 years. You don't want to do that. You probably want to trade him out of the conference. So, I definitely think that Deshaun Watson to the Patriots is a definite no-go. And let's just say Russell Wilson gets traded, it's definitely not to the damn Patriots. That is just very, 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 very unrealistic. These teams are smarter than that. The Patriots would have to overpay so much, and they probably still wouldn't do it just because it's the mere fact that you're teaming up a top 5 QB with Bill Belichick. We have already seen how that worked. 20 years of greatness. You don't want to try to do that again. So, yeah. Moving on to Sam Darnold, who's been a name that's been thrown around. I kind of just want to shoot this one down real quick, too. The Jets aren't going to trade Sam Darnold to the Patriots because they have to play the Patriots twice a season, and they know how dominant the Patriots are. And I mean, they know how good Bill Belichick is. Like, if any team knows how dominant the Patriots are, were, it's the fucking Jets. It is the fucking Jets. And they're not just going to give up Sam Darnold to the Patriots and have them play twice a season. So Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, and Sam Darnold to the Patriots, it's simply not happening. It's just not going to happen. So let's move on to some more realistic options. The first one being a reunion with Jimmy Garoppolo. This one is still kind of unrealistic to me, but this would be fun to see. This is the QB that Bill wanted to transition from Brady with. I mean, he wanted Garoppolo back in 2017. The whole fiasco with Robert Kraft, loving Brady happened, and I mean, evidently it was the right choice. Bill Belichick was wrong there. But I do think a reunion with Belichick would be very interesting to see. We've seen what Garoppolo's been able to do with the 49ers. I definitely think it's more coaching plus the run game, but that's exactly what Bill Belichick is all about, coaching and run game. You do not have to be a great passer to win games with the Patriots. I get they went 7-9 last season, but they won 7 NFL football games, 7 of them, with a quarterback that threw 5 passing touchdowns. And that's not even me disrespecting Cam Newton. That's just me complimenting Bill Belichick so much. 7 football games. They had more wins than their quarterback had passing touchdowns. Oh my gosh, dude, that's kind of insane to me. The Patriots can win without a great throwing QB. So I do think Garoppolo would fit right in with the Patriots. The reason I think it's unrealistic is because I definitely think Shanahan and John Lynch at San Francisco want a QB back. The only way I could see that not being the case is if they're very high on Trey Lance, who should be there with the 12th pick. I could see them just giving up Garoppolo for a second plus a third or maybe a first. Maybe. I could see them ultimately doing that. But I mean, that's a big if. If they're high on Trey Lance. That's a massive if. That's why I think it's kind of unrealistic, because the Patriots would have to give up picks for Jimmy G, and I definitely think San Francisco wants a QB back. So as it would be cool to see Jimmy G back with the Patriots, I don't see it happening. Moving on to another QB, this is Marcus Mariota, and this is the most realistic option to me. I know, it sounds kind of sad, but Marcus Mariota, he played, I believe, one game with the Raiders where he came in for an injured Derek Carr and looked very good, and we've heard through the news that Marcus Mariota is gaining a lot of, just trade talk traction, so I could see him being traded very, 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 very easily. It would not take much to trade for Marcus Mariota. At the absolute most, a third-round pick, which the Patriots do not have currently, but they will get some compensatory picks. I don't think I'm saying that word right, but they will get some of those picks that they get for losing players, such as obviously Tom Brady, Kyle Van Noy, and Jamie Collins. So they will have the ammunition to make a trade for a Marcus Mariota, and that seems very realistic to me. First of all, it's a cheap trade. Second of all, it's a cheap salary. I believe he makes $8 million per year. He has 1 year left on his contract, because I am almost certain he signed a 2-year deal with the Raiders. He has a 1 year, $8 million deal with the Patriots. Essentially, if they trade for him, you have this 1 year trial run with Marcus Mariota, who had a very good game versus the Chargers. The Chargers don't have a great defense, but I mean, he looked well. I mean, he looked very, very, very good. So I do think he would fit right in with the Patriots too. I think the problem with their offense last season definitely was not the rushing game. Cam did Cam did pretty well with the rushing game. He had a good rushing season, but I do think the problem was, 1, the weapons surrounding Cam, and 2, Cam's arm in general. I don't think Cam Newton is done by any means, because the weapons around him were shit to give the benefit of the doubt. But I think Marcus Mariota would fit in really well. It's the cheap trade, cheap option move. The fourth and final option, the fourth and final realistic option to me is, well, bringing back Cam Newton for one more season. The reason that this is realistic is because I've seen reports that the Patriots have not closed the door on that idea. They are still open to a Cam Newton reunion, and it's a really cheap salary if they strike out on the trade market. And two, once again, giving Cam the benefit of the doubt, he was throwing the ball to, fucking Jacoby Myers and Ryan Izzo. He wasn't throwing the ball to anybody. You give him a few weapons, then, well, he might do pretty well. So I do think Cam, they won 7 games with Cam last season too. Give him some weapons, you might win 9 or 10. So Cam Newton returning to the Patriots, I think it's very realistic. I definitely think it's realistic, even if it's for a backup spot. Obviously, Cam did say that there aren't 32 guys better than him, and yeah, I could probably see that. I don't have 32 QBs off dome that I can just list off real quick, but I could see that. And, well, I think, let's just say they do draft a QB during the second round. Let's just say they pick a Kyle Trask, which, once again, probably very unrealistic. But let's just say they do it. I think bringing back Cam would be awesome. So you can have a quarterback competition. I think that's a very Patriots thing, to have a QB competition with Cam and whoever they potentially bring in. So Cam Newton coming back to the Patriots, I think that's very realistic. But for the Patriots, what I would do is I would push for Marcus Mariota heavily. Even if that means giving up a third plus a sixth, I'd push for Mariota. So, that does it for QB talk. I'm going to talk more about the overall roster and where they should go during the free agency period and draft for the next few minutes, and I'll get the hell up out of here. So, where should they go? Obviously, the number one priority is bringing in skill position players. Cam Newton was throwing the ball to fucking no one last year. Jacoby Myers is not bad. Julian Edelman was hurt. But they need a true number one weapon. Do I think they'll be able to sign someone? Probably not one of the big names. I do think bringing in A.J. Green would be very, very, very cool. Let's just say A.J. Green does not have much traction during free agency. Well, Bill Belichick can take a flyer on him. I think that's a very Belichickian type move. I could see it happening, and that would be really cool to see. So I think bringing in A.J. Green is honestly very realistic. And during the draft, a lot of people say Kyle Pitts to the Patriots. If Pitts is there, you definitely take him, because Pitts is an absolute beast. But, he's an absolute beast, so I don't think he'll be there at 15. I think he's a complete monster and one of the best prospects this draft has to offer. Him sliding down to 15, I don't see it happening, but if he is there, you definitely take him. And let's just say Jalen Waddle might slide, you definitely take him. But the Patriots defense definitely needs some help too. They have J.C. Jackson, who is a restricted free agent this season. If you do re-sign him, he'll probably take $14-15 million per season to re-sign, which, it isn't an issue because the Patriots have $68 million in cap space this free agency. They have a boatload of cap space. They can afford J.C. Jackson and Stephon Gilmore at the same time and keep up the great defense. But when you look more into the draft, well, Kwity Paye might be there at 15. They could use more D-line help. Kwity Paye there, he's a very technical guy. That would be a really good fit to me. But, just by any means, you get skill position players. Their defense definitely does deserve some love, but they had a lot of opt-outs last season. And then, getting back Deontay Hightower is going to be huge for this Patriots team. I think they need D-line help. They need to re-sign J.C. Jackson. They have Kyle Duggar, who will probably take Jason McCourty's spot now that McCourty is a free agent. He'll probably take that over. I believe Patrick Chung, he opted out last season. Patrick Chung coming back. So, yeah, the Patriots, I saw a thing on First Take the other day. Will Bill Belichick go all out and just go guns blazing this offseason? I don't think so. But I think bringing in Marcus Mariota and drafting Kyle Pitts or Kwity Paye is a very Belichickian type thing. Because when you look back at the 2020 draft, this dude just lost so much during free agency. Man lost Brady, Gronk, their kicker. That man lost so many players. And he traded out of the first round and drafted 2 tight ends during the third round with his 2 third-round picks. I believe 2 of the 3 third-round picks. So nothing is a guarantee. We don't know what this guy's going to do. This is just a fun little thing. I think bringing in Mariota, though, that is definitely the move for the Patriots. So, yeah, that's going to do it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, share it with your friends. If not, share it with your friends. I mean, you can also like the video if that's your type of thing. Then if this video and this type of video is your type of thing, you should hit the subscribe button and you'll see more videos that are your type of thing. So, yeah, thank you for watching and have a great day.